Hi there. In this video, you're going to discover how your brain has become a final frontier in a territorial dispute between major corporations and governments. You'll understand why neurotechnology has stopped being just a medical promise and morphed into a surveillance tool capable of turning your most intimate thoughts into marketable data. To give you an idea, I'm going to show you how Chile became the first country in the world to actually amend its own constitution to protect its citizens' brain activity, anticipating an era where mental privacy might cease to exist. The fact is, if wearable devices have been tracking your steps and heart rate for years, the next generation of sensors is going to read your intention before you even act. Are you prepared to live in a world where your inner monologue has a market price? First, let me introduce myself. Hello again! I'm Fernando Diaz. Welcome to 2029, the Great Disruption. In Dossier 1, you'll meet the technology that turned thought into code. In Dossier 2, you'll discover how your boss could start measuring your attention span in real time. And in the third dossier, you'll understand the urgent legal battle for your neuro-rights. Let's get started. Dossier 1, the technological foundation, the end of inner silence. Guys, let's be real for a second. We've always believed that our mind was an untouchable sanctuary. You could be smiling through a boring meeting, but on the inside, you were planning dinner or cursing out your boss and nobody would ever know. Well, that era is over. Academic Nita Farahani described a decisive moment when she saw a presentation by Control Labs, a startup bought by Meta, Facebook. In that instant, it became clear that the era of brain sensors wasn't sci-fi anymore. It was reality knocking at the door. Here's how it works. The tech has evolved from those clunky, giant hospital machines into sleek, almost invisible devices. We have everything from Neuralink's N1 implant, which requires surgery to read neural activity in high resolution, to less aggressive solutions like Synchron Stentrode, which goes through a blood vessel without opening the skull. But the real game changer is in the non-invasive devices, the ones you're going to wear without even noticing. Meta, for example, is developing electromyography wristbands that decode the intention of your movement directly from the nerve signals in your wrist. Think about it with me. This is sold as the universal controller for augmented reality, a magical way to interact with the digital world. Except the same technology that allows a paralyzed patient like Casey Harrell to speak to his daughter for the first time through a computer also opens a dangerous door. What happens when that reading becomes, as Farahani describes it, a feature for autocomplete for thought? This means the machine doesn't just read what you want to type, it infers what you are thinking about saying before you even formulate the sentence. Generative artificial intelligence acts as a massive accelerator here, decoding these signals with scary precision. Do you see the difference? Before, technology read what you did. Now, it's starting to read who you are. And if you think this is going to stay restricted to labs or hospitals, you need to see how the market is salivating over this data. That is exactly what we're going to talk about now. Stick with me in Dossier 2, Neuro-capitalism, the commodification of the soul. So, we've reached the point where biology meets economics. The concept of neuro-capitalism describes the expansion of surveillance logic right into the inside of your skull. Basically, it's about the commodification of your neural data and direct influence over your cognitive processes. Companies don't just want your click anymore, they want your biological focus. There is already a serious discussion about knowledge workers like lawyers or consultants billing their clients based on units of attention. Picture the scene. You're at the office, wearing a headset with EEG sensors, and the system is monitoring whether you're actually focused or if your mind has wandered off. Your salary or your performance review depends on your neural efficiency. This transforms intellectual work, which has always had creative pauses, into a cold metric of biological output. And it doesn't stop there. In the consumer field, neuromarketing is already using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and electroencephalography to understand your subconscious reactions to ads and products. That's because the goal is to bypass your rational decision-making and hit the buy button directly in your brain. It's a salesperson's dream and a humanist psychologist's nightmare. But be careful with this. The problem isn't just selling products, but the possibility of hacking your preferences. Have you thought about it? If a company knows how your brain reacts before you are even conscious of it, where does your free will go? The European Union is already trying to put the brakes on this with the AI Act, classifying systems that infer emotions in the workplace as high risk. But technology runs faster than the law. And when this technology enters the courtrooms, things get even more complex. Let's investigate this now in Dossier 3. Neurolaw and predictive justice? The end of innocence? At this moment, we arrive at murky waters where science challenges justice. The field of neurolaw is forcing a review of concepts we've used for centuries, like guilt and responsibility. There are already companies like No-Lie MRI, for example, marketing lie detection services based on MRI scans, promising to identify the truth right at the source. The scientific community is still skeptical about the accuracy of this, but the precedent is dangerous. But what really worries me is neuroprediction. Some researchers are discussing the use of brain data to predict someone's propensity to commit a crime or reoffend. Isn't that wild? Or rather, isn't that terrifying? We are talking about preventive justice, where you could be judged not for what you did, but for the structure of your brain or a neural predisposition. This violates the presumption of innocence in a brutal way. And there's the other side of the coin. Defendants using brain scans to say, it wasn't me, it was my brain. They argue that unconscious neural processes controlled their actions, trying to escape criminal responsibility. Facing this scenario, the global movement for neuro-rights has emerged. Led by people like neuroscientist Rafael Yusti, this movement proposes new human rights. The right to mental privacy, personal identity, and free will. Chile took the lead, as I mentioned, and US states like Colorado have already included neural data as sensitive data in their privacy laws. The idea is to create what they call cognitive liberty, the right to self-determination over our own brains. Because at the end of the day, if we lose control over our mental life, what do we have left? I'm going to tell you what I think, and that is, we need to face reality. Neurotechnology has incredible potential to heal. Seeing people recover movement or speech is a miracle of human ingenuity. But the price of that miracle could be our most fundamental privacy. Nita Farahani, a distinguished professor of law and philosophy at Duke University, where she also directs the Duke Science and Society Initiative, says we need legal fortresses and responsible innovation to ensure technology serves human flourishing, not subjugation. I agree with her. The singularity isn't just about smart machines, it's about total fusion. For me, the true resistance today isn't throwing your phone in the trash, but demanding that your mind remains a private space. Your cognitive sovereignty is your last refuge. Don't hand over the key to that vault for convenience or a trendy gadget. Now tell me something. Let's play a game down here in the comments. Would you accept using a device that reads your mind if it meant controlling your computer with your thoughts and doubling your productivity? Answer honestly, yes for the efficiency or no for the privacy. Think about it, because the future is reading your thoughts right now. After you say what you think, I'll reply and tell you what I think about it too. I'm Fernando Diaz, your career defender. And until the next disruption, goodbye.